Wait before you get all excited about The Undertaker launching a YouTube channel. You need to hear the dark truth about what this really means for wrestling, for your favorite content creators, and for the entire landscape of online wrestling media. Because what I'm about to expose will make you furious about how WWE is using legends to destroy independent wrestling journalism, how they're manipulating your favorite icon to push corporate propaganda, and how the seemingly innocent YouTube channel is actually part of a calculated strategy to silence critics and control the narrative around their product. By the end of this video, you're going to see The Undertaker's new channel in a completely different light, and you're not going to like what you discover. Let's start with the obvious. The Undertaker is an absolute legend, arguably the greatest character in professional wrestling history, a man who dedicated 3 decades to his craft and gave us some of the most iconic moments in WWE history. His matches at WrestleMania became the benchmark for excellence, his character work was unparalleled, and his commitment to kayfabe and the business was something that modern wrestlers could learn from. Nobody is disputing his legacy or his contributions to the industry. But that's exactly why what WWE is doing with his new YouTube channel is so insidious and so dangerous for anyone who cares about honest wrestling coverage. Think about the timing here for a second. The Undertaker retires, does his final farewell, gets his documentary on WWE Network, becomes this revered elder statesman of the business. And suddenly, now he launches a YouTube channel? Not 5 years ago when YouTube was already huge, not during his final active years when he could have built it alongside his in-ring work, but now, at the exact moment when WWE is facing more criticism than ever about their creative direction, their treatment of talent, their corporate priorities over wrestling quality? That's not coincidence, that's strategy. WWE recognized they have a problem with how they're perceived by hardcore fans and online communities, and they're using The Undertaker as their Trojan horse to combat that perception. Here's what you need to understand about how modern WWE operates: they are obsessed with controlling the narrative. They don't want independent journalists asking tough questions. They don't want podcasters criticizing their booking decisions. They don't want YouTubers getting millions of views on videos that point out the flaws in their product. So what do? They create their own content pipeline using legends that you already love and trust, people whose opinions you're predisposed to agree with because of your emotional connection to their legacy. The Undertaker launching a YouTube channel isn't about him wanting to connect with fans or share behind-the-scenes stories. It's about WWE having a mouthpiece that can deliver their approved talking points while appearing to be independent and authentic. And the brilliance, the absolute genius of their manipulation, is that it works because it's The Undertaker. If WWE themselves came out and tried to defend their terrible booking or their corporate decisions, you'd see right through it. You'd recognize it as propaganda immediately. But when The Undertaker, this man you've loved for 30 years, this person who seems to represent the good old days of wrestling, when he says something, you're inclined to believe it. You're inclined to think, well, if Taker says it's good, maybe I'm being too critical. That's the entire point. They're using his credibility, his legacy, his relationship with the audience to push their agenda without you even realizing it's happening. Look at what other WWE legends have done with their platforms. Stone Cold Steve Austin has a podcast that conveniently never asks WWE executives the hard questions, never pushes back on controversial decisions, never gives voice to the frustrations that actual wrestling fans have. The Bella Twins have their podcast that promotes WWE programming and presents everything through the company's preferred lens. Even guys who left WWE like Chris Jericho, when they have official partnerships or ongoing relationships with the company, they pull their punches. They might make small criticisms here and there to maintain credibility, but they never go for the jugular, never ask the questions that WWE doesn't want asked, never platform perspectives that threaten the company's preferred narrative. The Undertaker's YouTube channel is going to follow the exact same playbook. It'll be filled with nostalgia content that makes you feel good about the past, never before told stories that are carefully curated to not embarrass WWE or expose anything too controversial, appearances by other WWE personalities will all stay on message, and subtle defenses of current WWE product wrapped in the authority of his legendary status. You'll watch videos where he talks about how the business has changed in ways that justify WWE's current shortcomings, or how fans don't understand what goes into these decisions in ways that delegitimize criticism of creative direction. And here's what makes me absolutely furious: this strategy is working. Independent wrestling journalists, podcasters, and YouTubers who've been covering this business for years, who've built their audiences through honest and thoughtful analysis, who aren't afraid to criticize WWE when they deserve it, these people are getting pushed further and further to the margins because they can't compete with the resources and built-in audiences that WWE-backed content has. The Undertaker's channel will probably hit 1 million subscribers in its first week just based on name recognition alone. Meanwhile, creators who've been grinding for years to build audiences, who actually provide critical analysis and diverse perspectives, they're fighting for every single subscriber and view. This is WWE using their financial resources and their stable of legends to essentially monopolize wrestling content online. They're flooding the market with officially sanctioned or officially connected content that crowds out independent voices. And when fans primarily consume WWE-approved content, when their understanding of the wrestling business comes from sources that have financial incentives to present WWE in a positive light, then WWE achieves what they've always wanted: complete control over how their product is perceived and discussed. But it gets worse. Think about what this does to The Undertaker's own legacy. This man spent 30 years building one of the most respected characters in wrestling history. He was known for his commitment, his professionalism, his refusal to break kayfabe, his dedication to the business. And now, in retirement, he's being turned into a corporate spokesperson, a propaganda tool, someone whose words and opinions can't be fully trusted because we know there's a corporate agenda behind them. That's heartbreaking. This legendary figure is having his credibility weaponized against the very fans who made him a legend in the first place. And let's talk about what content we're actually going to get from this channel, because I can predict it with almost perfect accuracy. You'll get episode 1, The Undertaker remembers his first WWE match, with production value funded by WWE, edited to present everything through rose-colored glasses, avoiding any mention of controversial figures or problematic aspects of that era. Episode 2 will be Taker reacts to his greatest WrestleMania moments with carefully selected clips that WWE holds the rights to, ensuring they benefit from any monetization and exposure. Episode 3 will feature a current WWE star, probably someone they're trying to push, so Taker can give them his legendary endorsement and help get them over with fans who aren't buying what WWE is selling organically. You won't get The Undertaker talking about the real politics backstage that affected his career. You won't get him discussing the business decisions he disagreed with or the times when he had to compromise his creative vision. You won't get honest conversations about performers who left WWE under controversial circumstances or about how the modern product compares unfavorably to past eras in specific ways. All of that will be sanitized, corporate-approved, carefully managed content that entertains you while simultaneously manipulating your perception of WWE's past and present. And the comments sections on his videos? They'll be filled with WWE defenders who use Taker's words as ammunition against anyone who criticizes the product. Well, The Undertaker says it's good, and he knows more about wrestling than you do will become the standard response to any legitimate criticism. His authority and credibility will be used as a shield to deflect from real problems with WWE's booking, treatment of talent, or creative direction. That's the entire purpose of giving him this platform, to create an authoritative voice that fans trust that can be deployed whenever WWE needs to counter negative narratives. Think about the independent wrestling YouTubers who've been grinding for years, putting out quality content, building communities, providing real analysis and diverse perspectives on the wrestling business. They're not getting meetings with WWE executives, they're not getting exclusive access to current stars, they're not getting corporate resources to boost their production quality. They're doing everything themselves, often at personal financial cost, because they love wrestling and want to contribute to the conversation around it. And now they have to compete with The Undertaker's YouTube channel, which will be promoted on WWE television, shared by official WWE social media accounts, boosted by the entire corporate machine. The algorithm is going to favor The Undertaker's content because of his immediate subscriber count, his engagement rates from day one, and the promotional push behind it. That means independent creators get pushed down in search results, get recommended less frequently, have a harder time growing their audiences. WWE isn't just creating their own content, they're actively making it harder for independent voices to be heard, to build audiences, to make a living covering this business. That's anti-competitive, it's manipulative, and it's exactly what monopolistic corporations do when they feel threatened by independent media. And here's the most insidious part: most fans won't even realize this is happening. They'll just be happy to see new Undertaker content, excited to hear his stories, pleased to have more wrestling content to consume. They won't think about the broader implications, won't consider the motivations behind this launch, won't question why now after all these years. They'll consume the content uncritically, allow their perceptions to be shaped by WWE's preferred narratives, and become less receptive to independent voices that offer different perspectives. That's exactly what WWE wants: a fanbase that gets their information and forms their opinions based on corporate-approved sources. What can you do about this? First, be critical about the content you consume. When you watch The Undertaker's YouTube channel, and I'm not saying don't watch it, but when you do, ask yourself what's being said, what's not being said, what perspective is being presented, and who benefits from you believing that perspective. Second, make sure you're also supporting independent wrestling content creators who aren't beholden to WWE or any other major corporation, who can speak freely about the good and the bad in wrestling. Third, don't let legendary status automatically equal credibility on current topics. The Undertaker was amazing in ring, but that doesn't mean his opinions on modern wrestling business practices are automatically correct or unbiased. Comment below telling me if you think I'm being too cynical or if you see exactly what I'm talking about. Share this video with other wrestling fans who might not realize what's actually happening here. Subscribe to independent wrestling channels that provide honest coverage and diverse perspectives. Don't let WWE monopolize the conversation around their own product by flooding the market with legend-backed content that serves their corporate interests rather than fan interests. The Undertaker launching a YouTube channel should be something fans can enjoy without strings attached. It should be an opportunity for genuine connection between a legend and the audience that supported him for 3 decades. But because of WWE's need to control narratives and marginalize independent voices, it's been turned into something else entirely: a corporate tool disguised as fan service, propaganda wrapped in nostalgia, a calculated strategy masked as authentic content creation. We deserve better than this. The Undertaker deserves better than being used this way. And independent wrestling media deserves a fair playing field instead of having to compete against corporate-backed legends with unlimited resources. This is your wake-up call about what's really happening in wrestling media, and it's time we all started paying closer attention.